Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. This is my regular monthly edition of Everything in Bloom. So no buds, no spikes, no things to come, and no things just gone. Things that actually are. It's a regular update for new people. Happens on the 8th. If I can't do it on the 8th for any reason, I usually film it the day before or the day after. But it's normally on the 8th. I normally manage it okay. So we'll start over here and we'll just go round. We've got this strange little Hamiltonara. I'll start with that. There's something going wrong with this plant basically. I mean, this was the latest growth. There's 2 plants in that pot and they're not going to be in there much longer. They're coming out. That media's gone. But it managed to push up a spike and get a bloom out, and I'd forgotten how attractive the bloom was because it hasn't done it. In fact, I don't think it's ever bloomed since the blooms that were on it when I bought it. And if you can imagine a nice sort of spike sticking up out of the plant, you know, with whatever 8 or 9 of those blooms on, you could see why I got it. But it's never performed since. It got some bacterial rot in the pseudobulbs. I had to cut the back of the plant off, and I'm currently trying to rescue 2 bulbs, and this was a very strange growth. It's very distorted, and so is the spike. It only just managed to escape. This growth looks a little bit better on this piece, but desperate need of a repot, that one. This is a new addition. This is my Dendrobium Frosty Dawn. And I'm well pleased. This is a very variable bloom. Frosty Dawn has many named varieties, and they vary from a very narrow stripe in the lip to the whole lip almost being bright orange. So they do vary a lot, but a nice clean white with a nice bright orange stripe. So I like that. This is a young plant. I've only just got it. It still hasn't been potted up or mounted, whatever I decide to do. I haven't decided yet. And it's in some moss at the moment, so it's happy where it is for a bit. I can state that's not desperate. Coming soon though. I've got 2 Paphiopedilums out. This one's been out some time now. This is Maudiae. Lovely clean colours, just green and white. Just 2 clean colours, and I like it for that reason. It's a good size bloom, yeah. Single bloom on the spike. Takes a while to progress and open, but when it does, it lasts well. My one Cymbidium is just going, and this always reminds me of Shelob Tolkien. This is the colours in the lip, but that's the colours that it turns as the blooms start to die, and it's as though the red on the lip runs like a watercolour and stains the whole lip. So that's not long for the world now, and not long after those blooms are gone, that will be going back in the garden, taking up all my space in here. I only have one, that ain't gonna change. This little Cattleya is still going strong, although it is showing signs. The original spike up here has lasted well. These 2 funny little growths down here that came out, what was the back of the plant at the time, they're not lasting at all. They are opening, but they're not lasting. Not lasting at all well. But those were superb pseudobulbs. I wasn't expecting any growth around this side of the plant. So, you know, the blooms are a little bonus. But what you can see here is the difference. When it opens, it's almost yellow. You can see the bud is almost yellow. And it opens a pale orange, and then turns to that colour after about a week, and then it stays that lovely deep orange. I really do like those blooms. Lovely deep red in the frilly lip, and it's one of the what I call the tunnel shaped lips. They don't open up completely, so you have to look inside to see the colours. Nonetheless, a good bloom. This Dendrobium Stardust Firebird is fully open now, looking good. The plant isn't, but the blooms are good. Obviously a much paler orange than the Cattleya we've just looked at. And although this is classed as a nobile type, there's not a lot of nobile in this, but it does have the same growth pattern. The spikes come out from the leaf nodes, the other side of the leaf, alternate leaves, and spikes come out the other side of the leaf. and little clusters, so it is nobly like, but the blooms themselves look more like Dendrobium unicum, colours and patterning, quite honestly, but classed as a nobly. Just. My other Paphiopedilum, this is Macabre, another large bloom and gorgeous deep colours on this one. See if I can get the top to lift up. Beautiful sort of deep burgundy purplish type colours, lots of warty things going on the wings, as I call them, lovely veining on the pouch, very attractive bloom, and not a very attractive plant at the moment. I've got some rusty staining on a couple of the leaves, but nonetheless it grew, it bloomed just about. My Dendrobium Prima Donna is on its last legs, basically. I'm getting tangled up in spikes and leaves and all sorts here. So these blooms are on their way out, but these ones down here haven't long opened. So these are going to last a while. And I'm thinking of taking the blooms off anyway, because I need this plant to grow this year. That got well set back last year. It did a mass blooming, and I was well pleased. It got a first in the in fact it got best hybrid in show at the time, sort of late February, early March, somewhere around that time anyway. And basically after that, after the blooms had finished, and they lasted well because we had a very cold spring last year, and the cool temperatures day and night kept the blooms on the plant for ages. When the blooms had finally finished, I split the plant, repotted it, so these new canes here didn't grow. They didn't reach maturity by the time the autumn set in, so they're quite short. Nonetheless, they will bloom next year. They will bloom, but I need new growths on that plant, and I need them soon. My little Dendrobium cuthbertsonii is still in bloom. These are reputed to last forever. Well, not forever, but a very long time. Lovely attractive bloom, and massive for the size of the plant. You know, literally there's huge bloom for the size of the little miniature plant. Unusual leaves on that one, like hairy and warty, more cactus-like or succulent-like than a dendrobium. Nonetheless, I got it to bloom. That's not bad. Up here we've got one of my two Dendrobium phalaenopsis types. I did have three. I've dumped one. Fed up with looking at it. Tatty looking plant, hasn't bloomed for ages, not worth the space, but I'm keeping this one because I really do like those blooms. For a phalaenopsis type, they are a little unusual both in their shape and the delicate patterning, so that one's staying. That one grew a bit better last year, not bad at all. The big bush, Dendrobium hancockii, that's really going to town at the moment. If this wasn't such a spreading bush and all those blooms were close together, it would be stunning, but they're all over the place, these blooms, literally spread out, and incredibly attractive, and I won't say strongly fragrant, but faintly fragrant, but you've got to get close, and it's a lovely honey type fragrance. So very delicate patterning in the lip, but again you've got to get close. And a nice waxy sort of substance to the blooms, good sturdy blooms on that. That's a good blooming, I think, this year. I think I had 4 or 5 blooms last year, so it's done an awful lot better. Very long lasting blooms, but a massive plant. You know, if you're going to have one of them, you need space, both height and width, because it naturally grows upwards and arches out. So it forms a bush, hence the name, the big bush. Got to have a reason behind these nicknames. This little delicate thing down here is a nobly type, and it's called Lovely Virgin Variety Angel. And these were kikis, or a kiki with a new growth last year. The plant itself should be bigger than this, but because I hadn't seen these blooms for many years, I decided to let it bloom. And they are attractive. They are attractive, despite being upside down, or that one is. So we're getting some new roots starting on that, and that will soon be followed by a new growth which I hope will grow to a more mature size than the previous Kiki. Right, coming round here, this is just opening. Just. Now these don't last long. Now this is a griffithianum crossed with farmeri. It's actually got a proper name, Memoria Christa Erdmann, I think, or something like that. I'll put a pop-up with the names anyway. But the other one that's in spike is the cross the other way round, and they are going to be out together, so we can do a comparison. A lot of people might think that a cross is a cross, but which way round they are can make a lot of difference, both to colour and size of blooms. So that's that one, just opening up. Plenty more buds to come. Right, up in the gods, the Cattleya types, the bright red one with the 8-foot long name, Hsiang Yu Red Pearl Red Butterfly. It's holding on well, and these are very attractive blooms, and I'm well pleased. That was hand-picked for me from a nursery in the EU. I chose the plant I wanted, but somebody else went and actually chose the plant, if you see what I mean. I chose the plant from the picture, and that is a replacement for a Cattleya I lost a long time ago, and it's pretty close. So I'm well pleased with the bloom on that. Nice cluster type Cattleya. More of a Laelia shape to the bloom possibly, but nonetheless a Cattleya by name. I'm going to include that before it falls off. It's lasted well, but it really is literally, I think it's got a day to go and it will fall. And as it fades, it closes up. Yeah, and it loses the yellow in the lip completely fading. So that one's gone. That's just an OID hybrid, that one. And then we'll come along the Tolumnias. Some of these are going at the moment, and I'll have to put pop-ups for these because they're all over the place. These blooms have gone now, but yet again it's branching, so we've got more to come, but that really has gone, this one. And this one here, which is the Golden Sunray Sunrise, I believe, this spike has been in bloom since last October. Seriously, it just kept branching and branching. It's finally, I believe, finished branching. So these are the last two blooms. But following back up here, it's got another spike. So it'll be back in bloom soon. But that's probably one of my favourites. That is a very beautiful Tolumnia. Then next to that we have one of the Christmas lot that came from the Christmas do. And I think it's got a funny name to it, Mo or something or other. It's a trade name, I suspect. But the name on the tag says Mo04, MO04. Very attractive, delicate colouring. The pink develops as it ages, opens almost pure white with the deep red, and then the pink develops as it ages. Next to that one, another Tolumnia that now it's in bloom. I can go and check my records and find out what the hell it's called. So I've been waiting for that one to bloom. It's called Pink something, but that is a very attractive Tolumnia. Opens a deep pink and then fades. That one goes that way round. Some Tolumnias open a paler colour and get darker. Some open dark and fade. But most of them change colour in some shape or form. Oh, hello, screaming seagulls. Why don't you go down and play on the beach? Ugh, noisy gits. And then over here, this is one of the other Christmas ones. So if that was Mo04, this is Mo01. And this doesn't look like the picture, but I like it nonetheless. It's a lovely deep velvety red. It fades to a, I know this is going to sound daft, it fades to a brighter red. So it goes from a deep velvety red to a brighter red. Both colours are attractive. I don't think these blooms are going to last long on here because the plant is very weak. There is a little branch there, but it's only got a single fan that's quite dehydrated. I need the fan to grow, so this spike's not long for this world. I'm going to take that off and give the plant a chance. Otherwise it will just put its energy into the branching process on the spike, and I don't believe this plant is strong enough, not that one anyway. And this one over here is Tolumnia Black Magic. Lovely deep colour. It is almost black. It's the deepest of reds with the yellow and paler markings. Blooms are not opening properly on this one. There's something not quite right with that plant. And I think it's just that, you know, it's produced quite a spike on a plant that hasn't got very good roots at the moment. It's one of my rescue ones. So again, I may not leave that spike on there too long. Give the plant a chance. We're coming into the growing season now. You know, this is the time that the Tolumnias will produce one or more new fans, hopefully more, not just the one. So that's the Tolumnias that are out at the moment. I'm going to count this because until those blooms drop off, as far as I'm concerned, it's still in bloom. And that's the, well, whatever it is, Macabre. Keep chopping and changing that one. I think originally it was a Brassocatleya, but I think the Brassavola bit is now a Rhyncholalia and the Cattleya is something else. So it's got a really stupid name now in my book. But in my book it's going to stay as BC Macabre. That's how I bought it. And in my grow room I can call it Fred if I want. It's only if it ever goes to a show I'll need to get it right. But almost white now. Gone from the deepest colour through the shades of deep pinks right through to mid pinks to pale pinks to white. And the spotting on the lip is still just about visible, but you can see the bloom to the left there is, that's how they will go. They will just lose their colour, wilt and fall off. And that should encourage a lot more new growths, although there are new growths on that plant anyway. So, but more will come once the blooms drop. And then up here, oh God, knocking things around now, is my nice bright orange Epidendrum. That's Comet Valley something or other. Put a pop up. This has been in bloom a while, and it's going to be in bloom an awful lot longer. And this is unusual, well it is for me anyway. This has pushed a spike out from an old cane that's already bloomed. So that's nice. So that will come up and join the throng. I think this largest one at the back was the first one to open. Yes, it was, because it's got a branch on it, so it's got like 2 leads. And these just keep blooming. They just keep producing new buds at the top and pushing those out the top, and then the older blooms drop off the bottom. So gradually the spikes get longer and longer and longer until they're so far away from the plant that filming the blooms, there wouldn't be any plant in the shot. I'm not going to film that, that's gone now. That was the Primulinum, the first of the winter resters, but these are falling now. These are coming off, so that's gone. Ugh, hang on, losing me grip here. Right, coming round here we have this little oddity, I'm going to call it. It's an oddity. Blooms are tiny, yeah, but really, really attractive. And when that first opened, I really was not happy because I was expecting a nice orange with some red striping. That's what I bought, and what I got was yellow with hardly any red. But as they've aged, they've got their colour. I must admit I did think the blooms would be a bit larger than that, but still attractive, still attractive. Right, where are we now? The Dendrobium findlayanum. It's opened all of its current visible buds, and these change colour relatively rapidly. Quite a greeny yellow when they first open, and then that fades to an egg yolk yellow. Both colours equally attractive, but yeah, there are more buds to come on that, I think, but they might turn into kikis. You can see there are still some objects coming out of the canes farther back, like there. Where's my camera? On the end of my finger, there's one there. So I'm not sure, it may push some more buds out. That might be it for this year. The canes grew incredibly well last year, and there are still some things pushing out of the canes. Now that may be a late flush of blooms. It might be kikis. If it's kikis, then they end up being plants to go one day. Not yet. Right, where are we now? My little Sarcochilus is starting to go. First bloom's gone. opens from the base downwards, and the blooms will die back in the same fashion. Pleased with that, on the grounds that I didn't know what to expect. It's my only Sarcochilus. I may get more now I've seen one. And at the show the other weekend, somebody had actually put quite a few on one of the displays. I think it might have even been ours. But nonetheless, having seen the variety of colours, I think I might keep my eye out for a few more. They're not huge blooms, but, you know, they're delicate, they're pretty, and they do come in a good range of colours. So we may have more of those down the line. And then we've got my 3 new Miltoniopsis, all from the Eric Young Foundation, all with incredibly large blooms for type, and I'm pleased with the assortment of colours, on the grounds that the Miltoniopsis I've got, one of which has never bloomed, are different. So I know I've got 3 new ones that are not like what I've already got, which was what I was after. Lovely blooms on this one, very deep red, lovely delicate veining, different shades of pink, and some pure white, which the Miltoniopsis often have, not always, but they often have a deep colour in the centre, often leads to spotting, surrounded by pure white, which really sets it off. That's that one. These have got names, but I haven't had them long enough to memorise them yet. And then up here, this is probably going to end up being my pride and joy in this arena. This Miltoniopsis is stunning, and these blooms are enormous. I've been after a yellow one. I do have a yellow one that was a present. Somebody sent me a yellow one, Hannah, who I met at the show, which was brilliant. But that one has yet to bloom. It's pushed up a really strong new growth, so it's capable of blooming, but it may not bloom on that growth. It may wait for the next one. But I now have a yellow one with blooms I can see. I don't know whether the camera can pick that up, but look at the sparkles on the back of that bud. It's really catching the light. I doubt if the camera will catch that. So well pleased with that one. Excuse me. And the final one down here is a splash pattern or waterfall pattern, and this is what I was getting at. You often get the deep colour sort of splashes out into blobs and splotches, but they're surrounded by pure white, which really sets off the depth of the colour, because this is nearly black. From a distance it looks black, so I was well pleased to find this one. It's not the best of the 3 plants, but again, large blooms, lovely sort of, you can't really call that red, it's a deep purple red, and the colour in the centre is virtually black, tiny little red fringes on the edge, and then the white. I don't think I've ever seen a Miltoniopsis without a yellow bit in the centre. They all seem to have, to varying degrees, a tiny little bit of yellow in the middle. So that's the Miltoniopsis, the new ones. Maybe the others will come into bloom at some point. And then coming along the top here, we've got the Dendrobium aphyllum. That's now fully open. All the blooms are open. And these fade quickly. They don't hold their colour long, and they don't last long either, come to think of it. So if you look down here at these lower blooms, the first to open, virtually no veining inside the lip until you get right deep down in. The veining is on the outside. And as we go up the plant to the more recently opened ones, you can see that that veining is a lot stronger and a lot deeper. Yeah, very, very attractive. Little frills around the edge of the lip, trumpet shaped lip. Nice attractive blooms. And then next to that we've got the Kuniko, which is a, hang on, let me get round here. I'm aware that my light's not brilliant today, but I was going to wait for better light, but it's clouded over. It's getting worse rather than better. So this is Goldschmidtianum, I think, crossed with Victoria Regina, and you can see the bloom desperately trying to head towards the colour of the Victoria Regina as they fade. It gets nearer that colour It's never going to get there though. That is a colour that you just have to see. Doesn't come out. I've seen so many pictures and videos of that one, and until you see it for real, you just don't get the impression of the colour. But still got a nice lot of buds to come on this. It just keeps pushing them out. And the top growth's just gone mad up here, and loads of new growth on top of this. That's a vigorous plant, that one. And then last but not least up here is the Dendrobium jenkinsii, which is almost fully open now. We do get a colour change on this, but it's fast. If you look at this one here that's just opening, there is a distinct greeny tinge to it, but it's gone in a day or two, and then it opens a nice bright yellow, and then as it fades it turns this. These are the original blooms, the first to open, so that's its final colour. This is going up round the back of the plant, round the side of the plant, and we've still got a cluster of buds that haven't even opened yet. They don't last a huge amount of time, but that's going to last long enough to go to the meeting on Saturday, the Wessex meeting, so that's going to go on a little trip out. I don't think I'll take anything else, but I'll certainly take that one. And I hate to say it, but that one's going to get hacked to pieces as soon as it's finished blooming, because it's now grown off its mount and it's now going to become unmanageable. Literally, you know, the plant's going round the back, off the side, and it's got this dead portion in the centre, which is the original plant that I bought. That's what I bought, that little bit there. And it's gone off in all directions as it naturally grows, but it's now going to progress. If I leave that another year, then next year the blooms are going to be round there, under there, round there, over the top, and nothing here. There'll be a big bald patch with just shriveled pseudobulbs. So I'm going to have to split that and take the centre out and put it back on a mount with all the pieces nice and close together so that it can start growing away again. Yeah, and it'll do the same thing again. But I mean, I think I've had that 4 or 5 years now. So it takes a long time to get to the stage where it needs sorting out, but it does need sorting out. So that's everything that's actually in bloom at the moment. I've got another talk coming up, and looking at the calendar, I've got 5 weeks. That sounds like a long time, but it's not. So I'm starting that. I've made a start this morning. Obviously, once I've finished it, I'll put a soundtrack to it and stick it on YouTube, and you can all nicely do a spell check for me. You can't spell check a video. It doesn't work like that. So that always comes in handy, because, you know, I'm always going to miss bits. So I'll put that together and get it on YouTube for you to have a viewing. It's supposedly a continuation from my beginner's tale, which was, you know, how I started with one plant, sort of moving forward. I had a chat about some feed and other stuff. None of that will be in this one, because it was in that one. This one is really revisiting how it all started, rather quickly, up to the run out of windowsills, and then the point at which I had that light bulb moment and thought, I'm going to do something with my conservatory. So it'll be how I converted a basic conservatory into the grow room it is now, and how that history progressed from being totally unsuitable for plants to now being pretty suitable for plants. and as I went along, and once I'd got the place established, how I evolved the number and types of orchids that I've got, and going over those. So there's got to be a lot of film clips in there, because I'm hoping to cover all the genera that I currently own. The idea being that, you know, you start as a beginner and you end up totally stupid. You know, you just end up grabbing plants left, right and centre, and then eventually you settle down, you find the ones that do better than others, you don't buy any more of those that don't do so well, and you cut down the amount of new stuff you get in. Everybody reaches that point where they think, I don't really need any more orchids, and I might even start giving some away or selling them on. And I'll only get new orchids if they're special. But everybody has to go through that phase of pretty blooms must have, and then getting it home and thinking, I probably can't look after that very well. We all go through that. So yeah, it's a progression of going from a beginner, going through all those phases, getting this place up and running, you know, to where I am now, and the actual collection as it is, with quite a bit of emphasis on the dendrobiums, because that really, it's not a speciality, but I've got more of those than anything else. I think I've got just over 200 orchids at the moment, and 50 of them are dendrobiums. So it's a quarter of my collection. And then the rest of the collection is spread around a good smattering of the Oncidium alliance, a good smattering of the Cattleya types, quite a few Tolumnias, I rather like those, to some that I've only got one of, you know, and some that I've got one of that I don't even want. And given an opportunity, won't have. Yeah, so that's the idea of this one. It's going to need a lot of video clips to cover everything. And to do the filming for a talk, I am going to wait till I get suitable light so that I can light things up nicely and, you know, get everything in focus without any fading or fuzzy bits. So I'm working on that. Probably take me another week or so because of all the clips I've got to do. There'll be some stills, but I want to get more video clips into this one, and less words on the screen and more orchids. But the history of the grow room, really, and how I got to where I am today. Totally stupid, as I said, you know. My family think I'm nuts, you know. I think even the cats think I'm borderline nuts, but as long as I feed them, they're happy. Anyway, that's everything in bloom until the next month, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.